Quiet on the set. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy, your not so retired friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt, where we talk about anything and everything that may have come across our Genia desk since last we met. So we skipped last week so Myrt could go to an AI course at GRIP Institute of Genealogy. And to catch up and be back on our normal schedule, we'll meet again next week, July 7th. All right, let's see who our panelists are today. We've got Frank, our guy in Germany, Hillary. Hi. Yeah, Hillary, our gal in Wales.
Hi.
Dan, our guy in Canada. We're going to be doing your demo pretty darn quickly. And Ellen, our gal in, let's see, you are in Canada. Yeah. You want to get out of that heat of the desert Southwest is not a place to be this time of year.
No.
And then Randy, our guy in the great state of California. So it's all good. I know that on the YouTube side, we have Sherry. Sherry, you're here. Something up? Did something happen? She may be, okay. We do have 19 people on the YouTube side. And I appreciate Melinda stopped by. She's letting us know she's going to hang out on the YouTube side because we know how unruly you guys get over there. All right. Hillary, you have something to talk about before we do Dan's demo this morning of his new handwriting extraction genealogy assistant app. And so let me move everyone else off the panel except for you and Frank. Okay. Hillary, what's up? This is good news, and I'll pull up a share screen.
Yeah. WikiTree and FamilyTreeDNA have collaborated, and there's a connection now. You can put your WikiTree ID into your FamilyTreeDNA account, and it will connect it up so that people on FTDNA can see your WikiTree tree and that and see connections. Because they removed the trees from FamilyTreeDNA, you could connect up with MyHeritage, but you couldn't necessarily you couldn't connect up with you couldn't keep your tree on there that was on there. I think they don't know if there might be some archived things there, but you can't add to them or anything now. You can't update it. So
right, they didn't want to have to service the tree portion of FTDNA. They wanted to consolidate their resources in other areas. They're going a different direction. But because of this collaboration between WikiTree and FamilyTreeDNA, this adds a plethora of profiles, pedigree profiles, a plethora of pedigree profiles. Okay, we're doing alliterations today, guys. So that your newfound cousins can possibly connect with you when they see your tree. And I hear it's pretty easy. Did you actually do this yet? Did you connect them?
Well, I haven't tested at FTDNA, and I hadn't uploaded anything to FTDNA because I've tested at MyHeritage, but I have used FamilyTreeDNA for a couple of family members, and one of those family members has since passed away. So I have connected up their WikiTree ID to FamilyTreeDNA, and I put their FamilyTreeDNA information onto WikiTree so that I've got the link both ways. And I know full well that they have, and that person, I also uploaded their DNA to MyHeritage as well, whilst I still could do, because I've heard that you may not be able to do it soon, but I haven't heard anything definite. But at the time when I heard I could still upload to MyHeritage from from FTDNA,
Yeah.
so I did upload it, and I've got matches on my heritage. So,
and it's just a matter. Let's talk about the WikiTree to FTDNA. It's a matter of taking the profile for your deceased person or you,
yeah,
and putting it over on Family Tree DNA. There's a new screen that you can just plug it right in. That's all you have to do.
yeah. You have to go to the profile of the obviously the account, and you have to go into the account to add it in. There is a particular place. It's relatively easy to find.
It's very easy to get there. I did it. It's a non-issue. You don't have to jump through hoops or upload or download or do anything like that. It's just copy your WikiTree profile, go to your account on Family Tree DNA. Now, you mentioned that there is a relationship of some sort between MyHeritage and FTDNA, my affectionate abbreviation for it. And we had a discussion in the green room before we went live. And this is something that a lot of people in the United States don't know. Outside the United States, MyHeritage is a very large and well-recognized genealogy website, more so than the big A. Okay? In fact, 1 in 5 adults that live in Norway have an account with MyHeritage. And MyHeritage, we've known because of they're based in Tel Aviv, etc. They have done things in the world of DNA for the government of Israel that has nothing to do with the genealogy world. So they're very well regarded. Frank, you were mentioning that you knew MyHeritage.com was kind of big as far as Germany was concerned.
Yep.
So how did that work out?
When I started with genealogy, there was a website called verwandt.de, so related, if you want, .de around.
Yes.
And this company, together with 7 others from that one company, got brought by MyHeritage.
So they brought it in there. Yeah, they bought the
all
technology.
the data, all the customers, and so on. You had the option to simply opt out for a couple of months, or simply log in with your normal login data from that you already know, and get transferred over to MyHeritage, which is the easiest way to make someone move over from one platform to another one.
Oh, yes. I get it. All right, let me put the myheritage.com in the chat and FTDNA.com and WikiTree. And thank you, Randy, for sharing the link to the WikiTree announcement. Well, I guess I could spell WikiTree, okay.
I just looked it up in Wikipedia. With that acquisition, they brought 540 million people profiles, 47 million active users, and 13 million family trees.
Can you give me the link in the private chat so I can share? Oh, well, I think you can share links over on the YouTube side in the main comments here.
Yep.
Okay, if you would share that link, that's pretty cool. Yeah, those are pretty big numbers. Pretty darn big numbers, that's for sure. Okay, well, thank you. All right, so
can I just say, if anybody is uncertain what to do, there was some mention about it in the WikiTree, the Saturday roundup last Saturday, and there's also going to be some mention on the Tech Talk, which I think is tonight. If it's not tonight, it's tomorrow morning. It depends where you are, what time it is. And there is if somebody can share it, there's some.
Okay, I just shared the link.
there's a couple of links. There's a link to Saturday Roundup, and there's a link to the G2G post for the Tech Talk tonight. I've added.
Yeah, the G2G means genealogist to genealogist. Let me get that information here. That was where I first found information other than somebody just typing the text in with no reference. I looked for Chris Whitten to have said something. So let me get the link. Yeah. Here's the MyHeritage article. Thank you, Frank. Boy, we get by with a lot of help from our friends. Okay. And did I put the link in? No, I didn't grab that part of it. So let me try again. I'll ask Randy to get that part. It's really hard when we have two links in one cell in Google Sheets, because I have a hard time getting to both of them when I'd rather get to them one at a time. Thank you very much, Randy. I appreciate it. He did it correctly. I did not. Okay. All right. So that's good news for people who want to continue with Family Tree DNA. Gosh, I just sent the big Y test to my brother. I had already tested him, but he's had some health challenges, pretty severe health challenges. And he's the last of the direct line of, he's my only sibling that's a full sibling on that surname line. And I wanted to get as much information as I possibly could. And he consented. So I sent him the, and by the way, he lives in Canada, those of you who are Canadians who are watching. All right. Well, thank you very much. And Hillary, I know you got to go. Let's take a moment and see where we are as far as who's here. I'd like to know, let's see, Valerie's here. Humid. It's up to 60 degrees here now. Y'all are dying of heat, and we're in the northern hemisphere. It's summer. In the southern hemisphere, and I have to be fair, yeah, it's hot and humid up here, but it's wintertime in the southern hemisphere, unless you live on the equator. Good morning, Gwenny. And there's our Sherry. Let's see. Randy is here. First day of Wimbledon. Oh, that's cool. She loves tennis. And Randy he's of course here, you know that. At the beach. Yeah, at the beach in Florida was always cooler because you got breezes off the water, and that was good. But you're right, in our homes, it can be a lot hotter. The Genia Cave, as he calls it. Southern Oregon is predicted to be 102. And you don't think of Oregon as needing to have air conditioning. We don't have it up here at our home, up here on Guaymas Island. There's Justine and John Shaker Heights, 78. That's about as warm as I'd ever like it to get. Plethora of pedigrees. A plethora of perfectly perfect pedigrees. Yeah. I think we caught up with almost everybody. Oh, Sue's here. Hi, Sue, from hot Oklahoma. And Nucky, I haven't seen you for a long time. Come play. Well, not this week, Friday live game show. Come play with us. We love it when you do. But not this week because it's the 4th of July. And something's happening tomorrow. Ellen, let's do that. What's happening with Canada?
Well, it's going to be Canada Day tomorrow. And it's been around for a while, since 1867. But it wasn't called Canada Day then. It was called Dominion Day.
Okay, because you were not yet independent as you are now. from
Well, it became Canada Day, I found out, in 1982. But
really?
before that, it was called just Dominion Day because it brought
Yeah.
3 colonies together.
All right, somewhere I lost the link, but I know that
Oh, I see the
Randy
link.
is right on the money
He's
there.
on the ball.
He's on the ball. I totally love it. Yeah.
So I had to get it. We had to get ahead of you because you have your July the 4th, so we have to do it first.
I
So
hear you.
just like we do Thanksgiving.
I know you do. You do. I have a brother up there, as I say, and yeah, he always teases me. But anyway, good. Thank you for sharing that with us and for getting that link to the Canadian heritage and what things. So, do you have fireworks and stuff like
Oh,
we do
yeah,
on the
yeah.
4th of July?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
And events all day, usually in various, wherever you live, they have things going on, usually.
So, a good time for family reunions and interviewing family members,
Yes.
unless they live completely far away.
Yeah. Then you have to do it on Zoom.
Yeah, I know, and that's a great use of technology.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's bring our guy Dan up on the stage, and we're going to go ahead and share his screen. And if you don't mind, I'll move you to the wings, Ellen, for a while. So, Dan, you caused a ripple in the space-time, whatever they call that thing, when you announced a new AI handwritten text recognition tool as part of Genealogy Assistant. Is this an add-on?
This is something completely separate. So it's branded with Genealogy Assistant just because I'm supporting it, but it's completely free and open source, and anybody can modify it or change it. The code's freely available, so it's something that people can build upon for their own needs. So it's kind of a starting point for a lot of different projects.
You know, I mentioned briefly in the green room, the reason we're going to do an actual demo of this. Hold your horses, guys. We're getting there. I have to get this sentence out. We get by with a lot of help from our friends. And when it comes to AI, people are confused. Now, I just took a whole week-long course on it again, and I'm amazed at what's available. But when it comes to choosing which to use and things like that, let's go with our friends, the ones that have already been helping us. Dan has come up with the blurring tool and all kinds of searching capabilities and different things. And now he has this AI hand writing recognition tool. So let me share your screen fully so it can get as large as possible. Oh, that helps a lot. You made some big changes. Thank you. So what are we doing here?
So this is the interface of the application, and what I can do is let me get a little highlight on my cursor so it's easier to see.
While you do that, Frank says, thanks for releasing the source code and making this public.
Yeah, and that's really important to me. Just to give a bit of background on the project, this was something that I developed for a local historical society that I'm associated with. And they had a collection of documents, many thousands of handwritten documents that were completely unindexed, not necessarily organized. And they wanted to use some kind of tool, and in this case, we're using AI to transcribe the documents into something that you can at least read the documents a little easier, but also search for particular keywords in the documents.
Okay,
and
makes sense.
So this is a tool that I came up with, and it uses publicly available AI models. So it uses things like Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and you can choose and fine tune the particulars of how you're using each model. So it uses publicly available AI providers, and it allows you to really harness in the particulars of how you want those models to work with your documents.
So it looks to me like on the left side of the screen is the tool where you can select which provider you might want to use, and on the right side are some documents that may be challenging to read.
Yeah, so this is just documents in Finder. So this would be like the equivalent of on Windows, you've got your File Explorer. So this isn't attached to the document or the application. This is just viewing the files.
Okay, yes.
In a folder. So I've got my folder here to transcribe, and that's the files that are inside of it. So within the application, you can really fine tune what you're doing and what models you're using. So it integrates with OpenAI, Anthropic, OpenRudder, which would allow you to use basically any publicly available AI model. And you can really fine tune exactly what your prompt is. So there's a primary model and a fallback model. If anybody's ever worked with transcribing documents using AI, occasionally the AI will refuse. It may say, this is sensitive information. I'm not going to transcribe this. So there's a secondary fallback model in the case where the AI refuses the first time. It will go to a secondary model to get it completed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
you can refine your prompt and parameters for each, and you can also adjust the model to.
So tell me about the prompt. It's tiny on my screen, but could you read it? I know that it's a lot of reading, but
Yeah,
you're
definitely.
capable.
So the default prompt is, you are an expert in 18th to 19th century handwritten document transcription. Transcribe exactly as shown. Every character, punctuation, capitalization, space, line/page break, header, footer, marginal note, insertion, correction, and error. Preserve all formatting. Do not modernize, correct, infer, or hallucinate. Enclose illegible text in unclear, in square brackets. Account for any orientation, purpose, academic research, and historical preservation. And then it says begin with transcription.
Okay. All right. Now, people worry about the prompt. It's already there, folks. It's already there. And apparently there's this fallback prompt model should we have difficulty. But take it away and let's see how this works.
Yeah, and you can refine that to anything that you like. So if there was anything you wanted to add or modify, or you have your own custom prompt, you can paste that in there and then save that in
your cursor. Yeah.
And that will use your updated prompt. But it's really easy to use. You can so one of the advantages of using a program like this is you can transcribe thousands of documents in a single batch. I've tested it up to 3,000 documents at a time, just selecting them all, dragging them into the window, and then they'll show up in the selected files area down here at the bottom. And once you have your documents loaded in, you can choose your model. In this case, I'm going to use a free Google model.
So which model? 4.0 mini or?
It's using Gemini Flash Light Preview, and it's the most recent version of that, the one that came out on the 17th of June.
Right. I only know that because I took that course last week. I'm not up on this otherwise normally. Okay, go for it.
So now that we've got the documents loaded in, it's as easy as hitting process files, and with the Google Gemini Flash models, it's so fast in processing models. We can see it'll do 2 at a time, and it's gone through and it's already done those 5 files. And then we can see that in our folder here, where our images were, there's now a new folder that it created called PDFs. and that will have our documents that have been transcribed with AI. So it will include the transcription as well as the original document for reference.
Wow. Okay, scroll up slightly so I can see how it handled that side notation in the original, which is the archives. When they microfilmed it, it's there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's added it into the
Right
bottom
there
here.
at the bottom. Perfect. And it says who it's generated by at the bottom and the date, which the date's important, isn't it? Because yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's a great internal reference, especially for the historical society and stuff like that, to have a record of exactly when this was done and particularly how it was done, especially when AI is evolving so fast. These models will update and get so much better over time. You can really kind of compare and contrast which models are working best.
I kind of got that when I took this course. The last time I took a week-long course, I took 2 very lengthy ones last year, a 9-week, twice-a-week course with Dana Stewart Leeds, and then the one at GRIP last summer. And the changes that have occurred in the last year have shown me I continue to be pretty actively using Chat GPT. I actually prefer Perplexity for little projects to have it check my writing style and my thought process to see if I left something out. But I am amazed at how much things have changed in the last year. That's why I think the date's important. We have a few comments here. Betty Lou says, does it matter what language? She does Italian research.
Yeah, you can modify the prompt to specify a particular language in it, and that would definitely help with transcription in that language. At the end of the day, it really depends on the model itself. The application will work with any documents of any language, and some models, depending on which one you're using, will handle transcription of different languages better than others.
Right. And I recommend testing several different ones to see what you get. Thank you, Betty Lou. And then Ellen, our panelist. So what happened? What kind of a crazy document were you trying to get them to?
I had a will, kind of a dispute on a will, and it was an entire file, and it just kept refusing. And I tried several models. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll have better luck with this.
So this is still using different models. You have to pick one, like Google or whatever.
But I wasn't using those ones, so we'll try.
Okay, and what form were the documents? Maybe then Dan can answer.
Well, they were handwritten, but they were all the files were made into a PDF. So I don't know whether I need to split it out because I have the paper documents, but I had made all of them into one PDF. So maybe I posted on the one Facebook page about genealogy and AI, and I contacted Steve Little, and he said it was something to do with them be more like pictures. They weren't pictures though.
I want to tell you something. To that point, if you're in Microsoft Word and you print to PDF, and it creates a file, that is where it's a graphic, even though it looks like text to you on that screen. You have to do file save as a PDF or to be interpreted.
because I had scanned it through my scanner and created it to a PDF.
Okay.
So I don't know what, I'm
And-
not sure. Sorry.
If you bring it into Adobe Acrobat Pro, its AI will automatically come up and say, would you like us to do something
Okay.
like you need to have done? Would you try that and let us know maybe next week?
I can try.
Yeah.
Is that,
See, Dan, it's not only you that I give homework to.
Adobe Acrobat Pro, do you have to, is that a paid thing?
Yes, why don't you send me the file?
Okay.
I'll run it and get some screenshots.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I gave myself homework.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Frank is saying, yeah, sometimes the chat bot that you're using may be strict for some odd reason. Let me try to pull up these comments. Okay. Sean says, I love the PDF output format, especially since it shows both the transcription and the original image. It will be quite the time saver for going through a box of family correspondence I'm borrowing from my mother-in-law. And also, Sean, if it's also a time saver because with this tool, you don't have to have a tab open for every single one of those. You've created one prompt, and because of the drop-down menu that Dan has, you can then click, if you didn't like the way ChatGPT did it, pick another option right there without having to have a plethora of pesky pages with which to post your prompt. Oh gosh. Okay. All right. So Melinda has a question for you, Dan.
So it right now it will only export to PDF files, but I'm not opposed to adding some more features in it. Exporting to a CSV or a text file, I think, would be really interesting. And part of the beauty of this software is it's free and open source. So with it was important both to me and the Historical Society that I built this for, that this is something that another historical society or any group or person can freely download the source code, make any changes to it that they'd like, and the goal of it is to make kind of a free open source and open logic, so to speak, where you have control over your model and your parameters of a version like Transcribus or Leo, basically to make a more affordable and open version of that.
Mm-hmm. And you're not having to copy and paste that prompt to each one of those individually in a tab for that particular. Sometimes we don't even remember that there are alternatives. And you're showing alternatives right there in that drop-down list. Okay, Gwenny says, I have some Latin documents that she wants to try from Croatian Catholic Church records. And Betty Lou said, she found using Google Translate, if the record is too long, I need to break it up, especially if there's a word that throws off the translation in the middle. It may have improved. It may have improved since you did that, Betty Lou. I'm just amazed at, it used to be you could only do one page, period. And now you can do multiples. It's pretty amazing. Becky is saying it won't transcribe my parents' letters to each other. I think I printed it to a PDF. I will try the file save as. Thanks. Yeah, because to the human eye, it looks like typed text that should easily be interpreted. And so what I will be doing for Ellen's PDF file is seeing what Acrobat Pro, how it reads it. And if it reads it as an image, it pops up and gives me the option. Do you want me to make this editable text? Okay. He's appreciating my alliterations. Some days are wacko around here. A PDF can be saved as a Word document or a JPEG. The Word doc will have a hard return at the end of each line, which you may want to change to a space if in the middle of a sentence. That's interesting. And then Melinda says even text would help. She's trying for a task for the Texas Genealogical Society. It would be a huge help. She's going to be playing with it this afternoon. You are a cause in the matter thereof, Dan. She appreciates you. Okay. Sean just ran the tool installer on her PC. Windows Defender tried to block it as being from an unknown publisher, but I could bypass it and install it. He's trying it now. Let us know how it goes. I love it when things happen live like this, where people are actually finding something and that works and that they can use readily. This is way cool.
I often have homework after Mondays with Myrt.
Do you? I know. Whereas I go off island and have lunch with Mr. Myrt. Okay, well, I have an easy job. I'm just a moderator, opinionated as I am, though. Sometimes it comes down for ChatGPT that words are used since it's a very hard word filter. Okay. Bill said it was the same to me. He had to override his virus detection. That's okay.
Yeah, and that brings up a great point. Yeah, it's an unsigned piece of software. So for something like this, it's really for me not worth the many hundreds of dollars to get it signed by Microsoft. So that's the beauty of open source software is you can see everything that's inside of it.
All right, and I want to say something from the very beginning. Well, Dear Myrtle started on America Online. Then when the internet was invented and genealogists globbed onto it, I only took people to sites that I had already checked out. I had another computer. These were in the olden days, way before Mr. Myrt and I were married. We're coming up on 16 years, by the way, being the newlyweds that we are. And because I figured if it was a bad site, I could handle that particular old computer to be compromised. There was no computer networks in our homes in those days. I will only take you to websites that I trust. I already trust Dan, although initially I had to ask Daniel Loftus, who the heck is this Dan Malone guy? Remember that? Jeez. Well, I don't know everybody. Anyway, now there's a question here from, let's pull this up. Not that one. Yes, we were all babies in the AOL genealogy forum. It was a lifetime ago. I've had children grow up and they've had children since then. Okay, Sean says he needed an API key. Now that has to do with one particular, can you explain that?
Yeah, so an API key is basically, it's your key to whatever AI provider you're using. And what I'd recommend starting with is one of the options is Open Router, and that the website for Open Router is Open Router, OpenRouter.ai. And that's basically it's a collection of AI models. So it has Anthropic Claude models, it has Google models, it has OpenAI models, it has Mistral models, a variety of free models, and you can sign up and get one API key from OpenRouter, and then use a multitude of models. And if you find one that you like, for example, if there's an open AI model that's working well for you, or an Anthropic model that's working well for you, you could get an API key from those providers, and maybe get a little bit of a better deal on your tokens from those providers.
So tokens are, I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT Pro, and tokens are another. You buy tokens for the amount of inquiries you make.
Yeah. So via the AI APIs, they're all billed in tokens, and that's basically the amount of characters that you're sending back and forth.
Yes, and it's not like we're getting into cryptocurrency or anything. It's a whole different world.
It's a different use of the word token. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I agree with Sherry. It's all about trust, but verify. Well, yeah, I've learned to trust Dan. I had to be dragged kicking and screaming. Not really. It's all good. And thank you very much for putting the link in there. It says that Dear Myrtle Archive posted that, but that is Randy posting on my behalf over there on the YouTube side. Okay. Any other questions about Daniel's model? Daniel's access to models? I think we're good.
Thanks for the homework.
Dan, I really appreciate it.
Anytime. It's my pleasure.
All right. I always get a kick out of watching you nearly break your neck on that skateboard. I literally broke my arm at Grandma Myrtle's house in Puyallup, Washington, just stepping up on my brother's skateboard. It just
no.
And I fell down and broke. And my dad's a doctor. He didn't take me to the hospital to get it set. We had to drive for an hour to get back to Seattle to his office so he could x-ray and set it. Oh, do you know how many bumps were on the road in 1959 or whenever? Apparently, I still have issues. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what's next on the docket here. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. And oh, yes, for brand recognition, I want to remind you, this is the Genealogy Assistant webpage. And it has to do, this is his post, and you can see it's a YouTube video on using this AI-powered tool for handwritten text recognition. I literally do want to take a number of documents, get them scanned. I have one of those book scanners, the overhead scanners, get them scanned, and let this tool do the transcriptions for me. It's all in English. Some of them are even typed, but I need them in digital format so that I can manipulate and quote and send it out in a blog post and stuff like that. Okay. All right. I want to also show you, those of you who are new to Mondays with Myrt, this is how my panelists and I communicate with our topics. We happen to use Google Sheets. And I'll zoom in a little bit. So these are the things that they all contribute on this page. We used to do it in narrative format over on Facebook, but we do it here because all I used to do was copy and paste and then rearrange things so they'd be in some semblance of reasonable order. Like next, I mean, we just finished this about Dan's Spotlight. And so we can cross those out, and we're up to Randy and his historical fiction. So when I say what's next on the docket, we actually do have a docket. We happen to use Google Sheets to do that. But before I go any further, I want to share something else. And that is Family Lockett's YouTube channel regarding Airtable. Now, Airtable is quite a bit more dynamic than Microsoft Excel, or which I know Melinda is into, and I'm quite into it. I used to be a certified instructor for all things Microsoft Office back in the day. So if you are one that wants to know more about Airtable, I highly recommend you watch this. Now, this is Family Locket, and I searched for Airtable, and these are all of their videos that happen to mention Airtable. Some of them are part of their research, like a pro, but here's about transcribing images with ChatGPT and Claude, but it does have something to do with AI and Airtable. That's how they do what you're trying to do, Melinda, out there on the YouTube side. I just wanted you to be aware of that. Okay. Now, Randy, let's pull Randy up. If you could do that, Frank, let's have Dan go to the wings and Ellen as well, and we'll have Randy come up. I've pulled him up. Okay. So, Randy, you used a phrase that really stood out with me. And that phrase is historical fiction. That's what you're doing with AI, with your ABC method for crafting a storyline about your ancestors based on the facts you've accumulated. And imagining you're letting AI imagine the time period, etc., to come up with a narrative rather than an Airtable or an Excel or a Google Sheet worksheet that has things just in timeline format. And it got old Myrt to thinking. Of course, it did help that I spent last week taking this AI course. I love historical fiction. I read about the many wives of Henry VIII, because I'm descended from Catherine Howard by her first husband. I loved reading about Lewis and Clark and their expedition out west, and I can only imagine, and books do postulate the conversations when, can you imagine hiring a woman, Sacagawea or Sacagawea, as others have referred to her as, even a mother with a babe in arms to guide them. And that is what you are doing. And so I want to talk about creating historical fiction. Let's see, which are we going to bring up first? I've got your link. And
questions, yeah.
Yeah, the 10 interview questions.
Yeah.
This really was phenomenal when you're actually to talk to me about this, and I'll share my screen fully.
Let me just explain one thing.
Sure.
The ABC biography is really a summarization by AI of, the work I've done researching each ancestor. Okay, I have 500 of them that I've researched in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I've just really scratched the surface so far. I have a lifetime left of blog posts, I fear. But the historical fiction part of it covers all the things that the summarization really doesn't delve into in detail. We don't know. We don't have details of every day in every month of every year in the lives of our ancestors. We don't know. We can imagine it if we understand the context and the social activity and the time frame. each ancestor is unique and has unique experiences in their lives. They have unique relationships with their family and with their friends and associates. I don't know, and none of us know, about the education or thoughts or wisdom or decision-making skills or temperaments or emotions or figures of speeches or sound of the voice of any of our ancestors. For me, I only heard my parents. I heard my maternal grandparents. Okay. I probably heard one great-grandparent too. But what I know is my ancestors were human, imperfect, had foibles. They had to support themselves and their family. They had health, and social and economic challenges. And frankly, in almost every case, my judgment is they did the best they could with their life situations. So, yes, it's historical fiction to use AI to imagine discussions or imagine how they reacted to situations that are historical, say. But does it matter if I'm presenting those as real answers or conversations? If my goal is to enable my relatives to better understand the lives of those ancestors. So I don't think so. I don't think it matters that much. Okay, they may be wrong, but if it helps the reader understand what they lived through, and frankly, I've said it before, the AI generated responses are much better than any response I can make that I have in my memory bank or could dream up. I am not a great writer. I'm a writer, but not a creative writer. So that's where I am with that. Now the 10 questions is an example, okay, of what AI can do. And frankly, Carol McCulloch down in Australia is an excellent writer and an excellent AI guru. And so she suggested, this is one of the many things she suggested doing. And so I've copied it, and I thank Carol for that. So the prompt that I'm using, and I'm doing it mainly on Claude and ChatGPT, but I've also tried Gemini and Grok, is please provide 10 unique interview questions to ask, in this case, David Jackson Carringer, about his life experiences based on the attached report, and provide 1-paragraph answers to each question. Now, this doesn't preclude me from getting, a 2-page answer for each question, but this is just kind of a survey. So I'm asking the AI tool to look at the life of this person expressed in my genealogical sketch, and tell me 10 things that might be unique interview questions to ask him, and then answer me in 1 paragraph, which I can't do, in my own extemporaneous way.
Well, and we know that these chatbots have been trained on every book that's digitized, blog posts, all kinds of stuff. In fact, Anthropic just won a court case that their use of books under copyright is permissible to be trained upon, because the human brain can't, like if it was a Dust Bowl situation, I don't know if Dan and the Canadians or Frank over there in Germany knows about the Dust Bowl era of the plains of the United States. You and I know peripherally, we could probably say a sentence or two, but not have the depth of experience in researching it and becoming aware of that phenomenon that any one of our chatbots has, or large language models. So we're looking at Anthropic in this one.
Well, the further down, don't go there. But
don't go there yet. Okay.
But no, go there. Go to the Anthropic one, but
okay.
not to the ChatGPT one down below. Further down. Okay. So I asked for 10 questions, okay? And so it gave me 10 questions. In this case, question 1 was about the Great Migration West, okay? And this generation in the mid 1800s are the ones that came west, okay? I have folks from England that came west. I have folks from Pennsylvania and New York that came west. And consequently, it's important, okay? Now, in just seconds, Claude told me that answer, okay? Formed the question, and then it told the answer.
And I can see it. It put facts in there that you had provided, like his mother's death date, and that could have been a push factor for moving west. That Pennsylvania was getting crowded. That there's a better life waiting for you if you're willing to work for it. That's not something. That phrase is not something that a machine makes up. It's like general knowledge of why there was this westward movement in the United States.
It's general knowledge to the experts, okay? To the
historians. Now in the context of your ancestor.
To the social historians, but it isn't general knowledge by our kids.
No.
Our grandkids.
Yeah.
And consequently, this is what we're, many of us are trying to do with using AI to try and share how we got where we are, my parents, my grandparents, whoever. Okay. So, and as you pointed out, this is all based on the genealogical sketch that I input to the and consequently it's based on facts, real people, but you can't be sure that this is exactly right. So it's historical fiction, and that's okay. Now, what can I do with this historical fiction? I can put it in a book or an ebook or something like that, can I? I can put my biography. I can put my genealogical sketch. I can have AI answer each one of these questions or more. I can create dialogue. I've been doing that between characters. So there's just a lot you can do with this. I can easily, I think, write 50 pages of 8.5 by 11 text for this guy if I care to. Now, how much is too much? I don't know. I haven't figured that out.
This makes me want to do this for my Union Civil War ancestor, he was in the 19th Indiana, part of the Iron Brigade. They were the first. The Iron Brigade was the first to engage on day 1 of Gettysburg, and I knew that he was at Gettysburg from the documents. Things improved when Mr. Myrt and I went to Gettysburg, met Cousin Russ because he had a Confederate at Gettysburg. We met Patty and Cousin Russ, and Mr. Myrt had hired a guide to take us step by step where our ancestors were on each day of the Battle of Gettysburg. And he had some more experience and understood the battle and understood it's a certain guy that could do 19th Indiana. He was an expert in what happened with 19th Indiana, not with other situations. But we only had 2 or 3 hours with the guy. Imagine if I take the information about his service, his rank, his unit. They lost 80% of their unit on day 1. I can only imagine how that would play out in a historical fiction. I also know that they were the last, as they were retreating, through the town of Gettysburg that they were laying suppression fire, walking backwards, laying suppression fire to keep the Confederates at bay. And that's when my ancestor fell. That's documented. I have it in his pension file. I have it in his hospital record. They hardly ever pull those up at the National Archives, but I got it. Those documents, like you've collected about your Carringer, your Mr. Carringer, are the framework for this historical fiction. But can you imagine, folks, what AI can fill in that I did not learn about the heat of the day, food rations, things like that, and what it was like in the hospital? I can't even imagine. Now I'm very motivated. Thank you. Keep talking to me.
Well, the 10 questions take them from the beginning to the end. The 10th question's about what do you remember? His 50th wedding anniversary. They died. They both died a couple of weeks after their 50th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
And that's life, it's life. So there's, all these questions about him. And so this one may be the right one. I don't remember. So at age 70, they moved from Colorado.
Yeah.
Where his fruit growing wasn't too beneficial because the seasons change.
Yeah.
But he was an expert in fruit growing. And so they came to San Diego because their son was here and had a family, his only grandchild. And so that was powerful, and it was warm. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We can relate. I can relate. Yeah.
Yeah. And the answer to the question about watching the country change, I see that in every one of these I do. I'm doing the same thing for my Civil War soldier, Isaac Seaver. It's the only one I have. And
Yes,
I want to do it for my Revolutionary War soldiers too, at least some of them.
Yes.
So that we understand. So here's the question 10, your golden wedding anniversary. Despite all the hardships, your farm failed, you lost a child, you relocated several times, but you celebrated 50 years of marriage. And what do you believe was the secret to maintaining your partnership? This isn't me asking this. This is Claude asking it. It's very insightful. And they do it in seconds. It's
incredible. Yeah.
How many tokens we use. Now, the last bit there, that golden anniversary party with folks bringing gold coins and useful gifts reminded us that we not only survived together, but had somehow built a life that mattered to others. And that's about the finest legacy two people can hope for.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that beautiful?
Absolutely. I couldn't. I write flowery prose, but I'm in tears.
I almost am too. I almost am. I've been dealing with this for months, but it's still touching. It's heartfelt. So, and then I, asked ChatGPT the same questions. These are all free. Nothing paid here that I do, just because very few of my readers are going to be paying something. But maybe they can use tools like this to deal with to help them convey information about ancestors to their descendants.
I love it. I love it. I'm very motivated. Didn't I know you received a file on your Isaac Seaver from the National Archives. Is that the one I also did a comparative copy and sent 2 years ago? Man, boy, we have a long history together, you and I, sir.
About that.
Yeah, I love it. All right. One of the things I want to share with people, because I know we need to get going along here, is your compendium.
Oh.
And there's your compendium. And the one I just gave was an AI compendium, but for your actual AI blog post, let me pull this up. This is the second link. It says my own, but I'm going to change it to Randy's AI before I press enter. Okay. And the concept here is a lot's happening in the world of AI. You're trying to keep up with the news, which we appreciate. This one is the AI and Genealogy Compendium. And of course, Ethan Mullock is our guy, the One Useful Thing blog. Want to keep up with all that. 2025 is at the top of the list. And then let me pull up the one for you for comparison. The work that you've done, which is just phenomenal.
In that one, the one on the screen now, there's more than just general AI. There are also the custom prompt, a list of custom prompts, not all of them. A list of tools to use, and then a list of videos, webinars, and videos, and blog posts from the last 2 years, basically. That I've compiled into this compendium. I try to update this every week. I failed last week, but I did it the other day.
You've done a great job.
So that's everybody else, and then the other one you mentioned and put in the chat is my own, and I've written about 200 blog posts now about AI and my use of AI in the other.
Let me get this over here. There we go.
I'm writing 7 a week now, essentially, almost a day. Yeah. And these are categorized by questions I've asked. Okay. And what these are, all of it, is a repository of experience. Okay. You don't have to come into this if you don't know anything about it. You don't have to come into it and learn from scratch. You can look and see what other people have done. Okay. I'm concentrating right now on writing. Okay. I've done transcribing, and frankly, Family Search does it better than I do for what I need. I've done other things. I don't find it extremely helpful with DNA yet. So writing is where I am at my age. I have this urge to, get something done that will last. Okay. So
I think it's excellent. So Melinda's saying repository of experience. What a great phrase. Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. And I'm using that phrase of, I like Carol McCullough's 10 questions or 5 questions, whatever. And but when you wrote about it, it really hit home, because this historical fiction is what will hook my people, my non-genealogists in the family.
And you can ask it to expound on any one of those questions, and it will. It will add more detail, and you can edit it. Okay, if it's not always 100% right, but if you have to read it and you have to evaluate it against what you think you know.
Definitely.
And deal with it.
Yep. Okay, well, let's go back to the docket. I have to thank you for being who you are. It's always fun to talk with you about things. All right. So, Frank, our question of the week, if you would pull yourself up onto the panel. My question for the week has, obviously, because of me being in AI so much last week, was to ask, what AI tools have you used recently? And you were mentioning something about PNP sessions. What does that stand for?
Pen and paper sessions. I'm doing role-playing sessions since about almost 20 years.
Okay.
On a semi-regular basis with a bunch of guys playing Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I noticed it became frustrating for me when I don't actively put notes down the table. So writing down every single script and so on, it's really frustrating. So I started recording it.
Okay.
And then I found out a little nice tool named GM Assist, where I simply can upload these recordings and let it transcribe it.
Okay. So
and
you
it
like meet in
works-
Zoom or something like that?
What?
You meet in Zoom or something like that?
Over on Discord, but even in
Oh,
person.
Discord, yeah. That's another platform, a whole nother topic.
Yep, but it even works in person. Simply put a cell phone on the table, hit record, and let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And the amazing thing is, it doesn't take for re-recorded the first session for 4 hours, and it took, I think, 10 minutes for it to transcribe it, organize it, get out of everything that wasn't part of the session itself. So when you when someone simply started talking about something else, or that he needed to go to the toilet, for
Like
example, or something,
off topic, yeah.
it simply let it out. So while it is in the transcript, it transcribed all of it.
Yeah.
In text, it simply edited it out as not important. I simply could put it in if I think it is important.
Yeah.
But it works flawlessly.
That's
it saved so much time.
You know, we don't need to keep track of how many times in 4 hours people get up to go to the restroom. You're right. It's smart enough to know what your topic at hand was for that session. Excellent. This, we tend to talk about genealogy, but this AI applies. People are using AI to at my doctor's office. When Mr. Myrt went in for his annual Medicare whatever, she read a little statement that said, our office is now using AI to transcribe our conversation. Do you agree to being recorded? And we said yes. So that way, when the doctor reviews the notes, and then you get a printout and it comes through my chart, etc., nothing gets skipped. Nothing gets forgotten.
Yep.
I wish that my other doctor, I go to a pain management doctor, and I wish that they were using that technology, because one of my prescriptions, I'd ask for 2 prescription refills. You know how you have to do that occasionally. They're only good for a year or something like that. And I didn't realize till I was down to like 10 tablets that I didn't get that refill that I'd requested at my last appointment. So AI being used like that in the medical field would be marvelous. Good. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's see. We need to have our gal Ellen up here, because she is planning to use AI to do something else. You have an online store. Tell us.
I have an online store, but I also have an eBay store and a Etsy store. So I use AI for that.
Okay. And you wanted to design a kind of a generic graphic for a
Graphic.
category of stuff that you're selling versus this category of stuff. that
Right,
you're selling.
right.
And so you're asking, now let me look at my notes. Yesterday or last week, they told us that if you wanted to create a photo from scratch or an image from scratch, of course you can use Canva.
Right.
But if you wanted to use ChatGPT, 4.0 is good at creating photos.
Okay.
Not 03, not 03 Pro, not 04 Mini, not 04 Mini High. I had to take notes. Well, and I know I could have done it. I received the transcript almost immediately after the day's 4 classes. But if I write things down, it goes in my brain better. It's just, I don't know, call me old school. Also, if I doodle or do something else while I'm attending class, which sounds disrespectful, I always turn off my webcam. I assimilate what's being said better. It's just the way my brain works.
Right, right.
All right. So maybe next time you can show us what you may have created at your store for Shop the Hound.
Shop around, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Let's see what's happening. It's okay. Valerie says it's also writing short notations about your son from birth to age 4 before he had that conscious memory of his own. Short explanations about him, things we wish we had our mom or dad tell us. You know what my dad told me about my pre-4-year-old thing? Very little. But he said when I was a little girl, a little baby, he would sit me up on his workbench. He had a workbench he always did. He wanted to be a carpenter, but his dad said you have to be a doctor. Anyway, he'd set me up there, and invariably, we didn't have Pampers in those days. We had cloth diapers and really terrible plastic panties, and invariably I would pee on his workbench. So that's what I have, Valerie, to remember my dad's insight into my early childhood development. Oh, pretty preposterously perplexing priorities to tell me that. I don't know. All right. What else do we have? Oh, yeah. I wanted to tell you about my experience. Is there anybody else on the panel that I've overlooked? We got Hillary. We got Canada Day. All right. This is the part where I can share a couple of things with what I learned. So let me share my screen. I'm going to pull this up. Now, if you follow me on Substack, you're going to have seen some of my homework because I posted it there. And let me share. Okay, and tell it this screen. Okay, we want it to be bigger. Okay, so I had, I'm using Steve Little's fact extractor. It's probably on Randy's list. He also has a great one for photos analysis. And I wanted this image, which was a document that I have about my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And this was an award she received for 15 years of dedication to the company. The Austin company happens to be the one that in the World War II time period, et cetera, and thereafter, when my grandmother worked there, they built the hangars for Boeing to put the planes, to make the planes. And however, this is a worldwide company, the Austin company. So this was presented in 1953. So I asked Steve's fact extractor to use ChatGPT 4.0. And it came up with an interesting narrative. Information. Here's the extracted information. She got 1 week additional vacation in addition to a regular vacation in honor of her 15 years. And I asked ChatGPT, the same model, to take that those extractions, the above text, and put it into a narrative. Again, within seconds, I received this response. In recognition of her 15 years, she was honored, she was entrusted. Now, it said her role often required adaptability, working in new fields, relocating to unfamiliar cities, and often traveling to foreign countries. Now, that I object to. That's a misinterpretation of what was said up above in the document. It said, required you have been sent to work in new fields, to live in unfamiliar cities or even strange countries. She was not. Now, I know that she is not. I've checked all the passenger arrivals. I've checked passports. She didn't even have a passport. But what I do know is that at her funeral, and I mentioned this in my blog or in my post, that at her funeral, they said that she could, let me get to this point, that Frances could locate anyone, anywhere in the world in 15 minutes. Now, that's nothing nowadays. But in 1949 or 1953, when she received this, that's when the operators, you'd have to dial 0 and ask the operator to place a call. She was executive secretary of the president of the Austin Company. Her boss did undertake travel, and as his executive secretary, she likely arranged his travel accommodations. But by the time when I started attending university in the 70s, she was retired. So I think what happened is whoever composed this, I mean, I know she went to Canada because I have pictures of her in front of the Empress Hotel up on Vancouver Island in Victoria, British Columbia. I think that whoever composed her award misconstrued things. And I needed to add this information. So my plan going forward was to give the certificate image and adjust the narrative. And then here's the key thing. I'm sharing it, well, I've obviously shared in my new space over on Substack, by email with my siblings and with my descendants via text message with a link back to this post. You got to give it to them where they live, meet them where they are. So that was one thing that happened. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm got to do some work in a collection. Let me pull this up. There's a series of 138 books called the Published Pennsylvania Archives, and I've written about it already on Substack. They're digitized and they're available for free at Hathi Trust and also at Fold 3. But I wanted to know, because I've seen these little books. In fact, I own this book. But I've seen the whole collection. The Manatee Central Public Library happened to have it for some reason. There are some of the editions that have fold-out maps like that. I'm kind of, not all of them do. But before I do some deep research through the digital collections, because I mean, if I just search for Conrad Weiser or Mr. Weiser, as he's sometimes referred to in Pennsylvania Archives books, I want to be sure that every page is being searched. So I asked AI to figure it out. So my prompt was, in your research, and I do very simple prompts. In your research of the published Pennsylvania archives at Hattie Trust and Fold 3, are there any missing digital images? Or do you consider the digital image collection complete? And here's what happened with my simple prompt, because I didn't limit it to just pages. Notice there are endnotes, clickable notes to sources. Even though I told it to look at Hattie Trust and Fold 3, I didn't limit it. I didn't tell Perplexity only look at Hattie Trust and Fold 3, which would have helped, because it misconstrued the books and the paperwork that the published Pennsylvania archives are extracted from. In the meantime, Denise, another very prolific blogger over on Substack, told me that in her first podcast, she interviewed an archivist from the Pennsylvania archives, known as the building, that what they did when they started indexing and extracting information about military units in the colonial period, I'm interested in the colonial period, they threw away the original documents. So I cannot check it. And in fact, the DAR accepts that as 100% reliable, which is highly unusual because, you know, as genealogists, I mean, I did not need Perplexity to tell me about access to original manuscripts and supporting materials and about the ongoing digitization efforts. And my reason for showing you this bit of my homework is you can now see that my very broad prompt needed to be modified because I don't want to have information about the original documents. I already know the problem. I want to know if every page of every single book is part of this collection at either Hattie Trust or Fold 3. I already know what family search. They don't have the complete run digitally. And I don't like the search engine at Ancestry for the kind of work that I've been trying to do. I think I'm getting a message from my timer. It's 10:30 my time, and I have to catch a ferry. Is that what you were trying to let me know by coming online?
Yep. I told you I'm not good at this.
No, you can speak. You can speak and interrupt.
Okay.
So it's okay. Anyway, that's some of the very many things that I did last week playing around with AI. She was giving me a 4-minute warning and a 1-minute warning, and I wasn't paying any attention. So I thank you to those of you who have joined us today. I know it was exciting for you to see what Dan Maloney had thunk up for us to make life easier. And I know that we focused a lot on the use of AI to get our jobs done. Thank you, Randy, Frank, Dan, Ellen. Thank you for your contributions today. And thank you to you all who showed up on the YouTube side. And especially thank you to our Melinda and our Sherry for keeping you guys on the YouTube side in line once again. Nothing left to say, but I'm Dear Myrtle, your not so retired friend in genealogy. Happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.